Everybody, thanks for watching. Merkabah Scholar Society members, make sure you guys check your email. Make sure you guys watch that video, follow those instructions. Also, make sure you guys register on Merkabah Academy for Merkabah Scholar Society. Link is in the description. And the app, yes, the app is going to release any day now. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Check your emails for that link. You will get the link to download that app on Android and iOS on Apple iPhone. So there'll be no hiccups with this whole thing. It's all done smooth, no problems with this. This will come out and release. Books also, the Merkabah Scholar Society book, you guys will start getting books in about a week or so. They're going to start shipping out. So stay tuned for that as well. You'll get an email when it ships with a tracking number and all that. So again, we're moving quickly. I got a lot of things going on, a lot of things coming up for Merkabah Scholar Society. So you guys stay tuned. Also, link is in the description for people who ask about joining. Link is in the description. Again, phase 2 ends on Monday. It'll be the final phase after that, and then that's it. We're going to go with or without you. Smooth selling from here on out. So make sure you guys take advantage now. Link is in the description. So kind of want to get into it in this video. A lot of people are asking questions about the society. So you always gonna have people who's spooky and who just don't understand shit, and people saying that they don't want to join a cult. They don't want to join a secret society or what have you. So, a lot of people, I talk about this a lot. Well, for people who understood, a lot of people don't get that everything that we are experiencing now is built off these societies. Everything that's happening, America itself is built from a group of people that's in a secret society. And you got to understand that information I talked about before back in Kemet, where you have the ancient Egyptian mystery schools, and getting you guys into the understanding of why such a thing exists, right? We don't really stop and think that everything we do, our what we call entertainment, is basically built off of mythology. It's built off of acting, stories. What is that about? What is it that we have to tell these stories to convey a message? And it's plagued us our entire lives, and people just don't understand it. So you go back to the ancient Egyptian mystery schools, and you go back to ancient Egyptian mythology, Greek mythology, Roman mythology, and you understand why this stuff existed, right? So why was the ancient Egyptians obsessed with telling these stories? And they broke down the creation story as a story. They don't come out and say, hey, this is who created what, and this is the creator. These beings or this people, specific names, details. None of that is given to us. We get a story, right? And you see that throughout ancient Egypt. And then you have at the same time with the Greeks giving us mythology, stories. Talked about this before. So it's what is it with these stories, with the mythologies, to convey a message, to tell you what's going on? So again, you got to think about the whole wars of the Diadochi, the whole conquest of the Greeks themselves, and everything they set out to do. Understanding, one, the main goal for the Greek Empire back then, and I'm talking about the Macedonians as well, was to conquer Egypt, to get Egypt. That was the main goal. Everything changed after Egypt fell. Everybody came into power then, as far as the European powers. And once Egypt was conquered, we see the change. So again, I showed you guys, you got to pay attention to how these Greeks go from the Greeks, the Macedonians, and everything they had with their mythologies and their culture, customs, all that shit was thrown away with, changed. I showed you guys the Ptolemies. The Ptolemies dressed like Egyptians. The Ptolemies with the Egyptian hieroglyphs and everything like that. Everything, we forget Greek culture. They changed and adapted what the Egyptians was doing and took that on and spun it, right? So the knowledge, the mythology, everything was taken and was transferred over to Greek, and they had their Greek mythology and everything like that. They started to learn how to build and everything like that as well. And we see them begin to grow as an empire. And at the same time, the Roman Empire was rising as well. And we know Rome had their own cultures and customs or what have you. And you have to pay attention to Rome conquering Greece, and then Rome basically adapting those same cultures and customs and mythologies as the ancient Greeks and the ancient Egyptians. Again, why? What is that? So when we get Judaism, we understand that we get this stuff in stories. The problem is, one, You guys were trained and taught and raised to believe these stories were actual truths, right? That is the difference. You have Greek mythology, right? You have Egyptian mythology, where they're telling you that these are mythological stories, anthropomorphized beings, parables, allegorical stories to convey something to you. And I broke this down before, how a lot of Christians believe that people who study Kemet, conscious people, that we basically traded in, the belief in Jesus Christ for the belief in Osiris and, Isis or what have you, that we actually believe and worship these beings as being actual beings that existed and lived thousands of years ago. That is super far from the truth. No true scholar of ancient Egypt worshiped these beings as being actual, beings that existed, what have you. You understand the mythology when you really study deeply into ancient Egyptian culture and mythology, what have you. It's the same thing with with the Greeks. So again, people want to know, why the society, why create such a thing? Because this is the way it has been done since the beginning. And as we look throughout history, you can see, so many different secret societies have risen up all throughout the world, right? Even in Africa, they had secret societies, right? And we see this and we understand that. I broke this down with voodoo and the voodoo videos as well, how the teachings are passed down, how with the voodoo priests, the people that's at the high level, there's always like a master and an apprentice. It's always two. And it can never be more in certain sects. It's always two people at the top, and everybody trickles down from there. It's just how the structure, is set up, that the information is always being passed down. You understand? Some of you will get that, some of you won't. But the knowledge have to be put out this way, as I said to you guys before, because you can't not take away free will from people. And this is something that some of you guys understand, some of you will not. And it's deep because the teachings and the mythologies is put into stories, and in each of these stories is conveying to you a bunch of hidden information. And I broke that down in so many videos. Some of those stories is to uh, explain physics, science, or what have you. Some of them is to convey true historical events and point you to a certain country and a certain people for different reasons. I broke down about Genesis, how, you have Adam and Eve being created in Genesis chapter 2, but in Genesis 1, it's saying male and female is being created in the image of God. I also talked about how Adam represents the atom and not, a man named Adam, which is like such a fucking European name. Adam, really? The first man ever created was named Adam? Or are they talking about the atom? You understand? So the atom, and I broke that down. You understand? Atoms. And everything's made of atoms. And atoms have electrons, right? And electrons orbit the nucleus of that atom. That orbit that it takes is called a rib. And, so Eve, meaning before, came from Adam, or the atom, via the electron. So that's the whole story. So you can understand just in that one understanding uh, what the Adam and Eve story is about. But it's also not just talking about the atom, it's talking about the brain and a bunch of other different things, as I broke down the videos. So understanding just that right there and seeing how you have this whole story that is so much wrapped up in Genesis that I broke down. But you can see the hidden story or hidden meaning behind the story when I break it down that way. So this has been done for a long time, and there's so many stories that we can break down and pull out meanings from it. And it's been done that way to convey a truth, an understanding about things that exist, and not for people to take the stories literally. So societies have been doing this for a long time and passing down this information, because this information in the wrong hands is dangerous, it's deadly. And we can see that for reasons I've discussed before, they didn't want everybody to have this knowledge. So when you go back and look at the ancient world, I talked about it. Remember, the fall of Egypt symboled, or basically signaled, the fall of everything. So we've seen everything change since then. It's giving you that understanding in the Bible. So what did we have back then? We had people worshiping Saturn, right? I broke this down in Saturn, Satan Final. We had people worshiping Saturn. So in the biblical story, you had the Hebrews going out and conquering and killing all these people. When you go and look at all the guys that these tribes worship, every single one of them, all these Jebusites and Hivites and all these, go and pay attention to the gods that they worship. Every single one, forget the name, Baal, forget all the names that they give you in the Bible. Every single one of them goes back to Saturn. All of them go back to Saturn. So that is what they're trying to cover up that. So when you go look at the real ancient world outside of the Bible, this is what you'll find. You'll find all these ancient civilizations worshiping Saturn. So they're giving you the story in the Bible, they're covering it up of what actually happened. Because one, they wanted this worship to stop. They wanted this knowledge to stop. So in the Bible, you have these Hebrews going out and conquering and stopping this knowledge, stopping these people from basically passing it down. And as they wipe these people out or force them to flee and leave their lands, they step in and take it over. Again, I showed you guys there's only one people that fit this history, and that's with the ancient Greeks, and then we see with the Romans as well. As they conquered these African tribes, they took over these lands, and it's not just in Africa, it's in Europe as well. So again, they're giving you these stories to convey exactly what happened. There was no biblical God that told Jews to go and kill these people and take the land. They're giving you a history. They're giving you what happened. So what really happened was you had the Greeks go out and conquer these lands and take the land from these people. Again, it's not a coincidence that these people follow the line of Ham, which is supposed to be, the progenitor of African people, and that in real life outside of the Bible, you have this happen, and it only fits one people who did this conquest, and that is the Greeks, and the Romans. So you understand, again, this is what they're trying to convey to you. And we find this throughout, the Bible. So it's them giving you a history that is covered up by a story that is basically trying to push you to somewhere else. So understand, even what we're talking about in Merkabah Scholar Society is the same exact way. I've been putting out videos for over a decade in the same type of situation. I've been breaking down these stories. I've been revealing these truths to you to, give you a better understanding of what this stuff is talking about. It would be very hard for a lot of people to really grasp how deep this stuff is. This is why Christians can't comprehend it. Everything's a joke right now on social media. Everybody's a joke. Everybody want to be funny and make jokes and crack on people or what have you, because, it's just, it's the times right now. It's stupid. But when this information is presented to people, a lot of people can't focus on the information because they don't have any prerequisite knowledge that'll make sense to them. So when we start talking about Osiris and the Jed pillar and everything like that, something that's so simple, people always think is, semantics one, or they think that it's a play on words. And you got to really understand, again, tracing this language back and these words, where they come from and why they was created in the first place. And I broke down, you had Abdul Malik give us Arabic. He the one who basically built the mosque and start indoctrinating these people in Syria into that language. And that is the language that basically was created for Islam, right? So again, I broke all that down in the Islam video with the Peshitta, the Syriac Peshitta, and how most of those words trace back to Syriac Orthodox Christianity. And we can see they just flipped that with Islam. It's the same thing with Christianity. See, the English language was created to go with Christianity, and we see how this wordplay works on a lot of different things. It's not just with the Bible, it's on so many different things as well. And then when you trace it back, it's going back to the Greek. It's what the Greek said it means, right? And then when you go and look at the Greek meaning, most people want to say Hebrew. You got to remember, we don't have any Hebrew that's older than Greek. We don't have it. So whatever you want to think and believe as far as Hebrew being older than Greek, we don't have anything. We have nothing. We have Paleo Hebrew that they talk about and that they say is this, but it's not. We don't find entire manuscripts in Paleo Hebrew. We don't find entire manuscripts in Hebrew that predate the Septuagint Greek. You got to understand this. So when I break down the whole mythology that's in the Bible, going back to Greek mythology, these stories existed long before anything biblical. Again, understanding why these stories was created. We're talking about the information that's leading to the why. Why the fuck are we here? What is this place? The most important questions you can ask. You're not going to live here forever. Your body is not eternal. You're going to die. This shit means nothing. Everything around you is not forever. It will not last. It will not be here. And our focus is on a bunch of dumb shit that does not go back to the main root question. Why? What are we doing here? Where are we? What is this place? It's the most important question that we don't ask. But the answer to all that, the deepest fucking the mysteries, all the fucking secrets, all that shit is going back to a mythological story. Huh? I mean, think about that. The most important questions you guys put in almost like a children's tale. Why? What for? What is this about? You understand? So you gotta think about a society, these secret society, these groups, and the information that they're keeping close to the vest. And the reason why this has to be done is not just because of the cover up that they don't want to, express the true history of Black people, and that they don't want us to know this information. Is that it has to be this way. It has to be, because remember, before the fall, before Kemet fell, the Egyptians was doing the same exact thing. They had a mystery school. They had the people were going to school, even though they was learning right knowledge. They wasn't learning what it was and what's going on. It's almost like, why? And I broke down the why. And the thing is, one, if we're talking about something so serious and something that's really important, there's no time to play any games, right? And it seems like a game. Why these stories? Why not just tell us what's going on? And it's like, unless you understand that answer, the why, then you're never going to understand why this stuff exists and why secret societies exist and why things have to be put this way in order for you to truly grasp, what's taking place here. So, for people who ask me about Merkabah Scholar Society, it's something that I wanted to do, subconsciously for you guys with Merkabah Academy. And a lot of you guys will consciously understand it later on. This is going to be a lot more conscious because we're going to skip the bullshit and get straight into a lot of the deeper information, but at the same time teach. It's a lot of prerequisite information you guys need to know. It's a lot of stuff. I'm not just here putting out fucking stuff. This means something. If you haven't figured it out, like I said in my live, it's only about 5 people who I know who actually grasp everything what I'm trying to do and seen it. Only 5 people who actually hit me up and was like, it blew their fucking mind because they saw it. Every video I ever put out has a clue. All of them. I put out these videos for a reason. I put them out in the order I put them out for a reason.